The wheel strategy is a retirement pipe dream. Here's the only way I would ever retire on it. Yo, what is going on, Premium Chasers? I hope you are having a God-blessed day. Today, every single person that comments down below is going to get my wheel strategy retirement guide, and it plugs the holes of what is the wheel strategy. So if you want that full retirement guide and how I plan to use the wheel strategy and other methods to retire and actually make money without a job, drop a comment. I'll personally respond to you with it. And while you're down there, hit that like button and that subscribe button if I provide any value for you. But guys, today, listen, this isn't going to be one of those BS videos that I see here on YouTube. Make 10 grand a month running the wheel strategy on NVIDIA, or make 10 grand a month running the wheel strategy on SoFi or Rocket Lab or MSTR. Because listen, last night there was a great conversation happening in our mastermind group, and listen, when you are at the age where you're actually retired and you need to make money, you are not going to be wheeling NVIDIA. All right, you're not. I don't care how bullish you believe on it, because there's only one thing you care about when you are retired without a job, and that is capital preservation and actually like producing an income for yourself, but giving you peace of mind. So most of the people telling you, right, like make 10 grand a month, listen, yes, sure, it could happen, but honestly, you wouldn't have peace of mind. You wouldn't sleep well at night, in my opinion. So let's go over the show, and I'm going to show you guys kind of like how I plan to do this when I'm older, and like really be able to, give myself peace of mind and not necessarily be like glued to charts all day, right? Which is not something I ever want to be doing. All right. The last thing I'd ever want to be doing is staring at a screen all day. But let's talk about it. So here you could see NVIDIA, right? I'm not going to go into, I do love trading NVIDIA. I love selling puts on NVIDIA when it's at the bottom Bollinger Band and closing them out and running my covered calls. I do love it at the phase of my life in that I am in right now. All right. And maybe even when I'm at that retirement time, maybe there'll be a portion of my allocation that I go into that, right? We sell our cash secured puts at the bottom Bollinger Band to get the best possible strikes, right? And then as we work our way towards the top Bollinger Band, right, we close those out. If we have assignment or shares, we run covered calls at that point, and we just rinse and repeat the process. Now, obviously, Bollinger Bands is a fugazi. Nobody knows what the market's going to do, but it, for the most part, follows it, okay? And it helps us, get the best possible strikes, best possible premium in that moment. Now, look at how this moves. Right? Like if you're going to, like, for example, with NVIDIA right now, like, let's say you actually were like, hey, I'm going to use NVIDIA and I'm going to like try to actually retire off this thing. Like, what are you going to do right now? Like, you've been on this massive uptrend. You're going to be doing like 170 puts, 160 puts that are a month out that have tremendous amount of risk, right? Obviously, NVIDIA has been on an absolute tear recently, and that kind of, we don't know what's going to happen. Right, we don't know if AI is a bubble and AI is gonna burst and NVIDIA is gonna come back down to reality. We don't know, right? But like one thing I do know is during my retirement years, I'm not gonna go into a chart like this. Okay, I'm just not, and I am very bullish on NVIDIA. But at the end of the day, a couple months ago, it was trading under $100. All right. So there's primarily only one stock or ETF that I'll ever do this on, and that is going to be SPY and QQQ. Those are the two, right? Those are the only two that I would ever do. And we're going to go, and I know most of you know this information already about me, but I want to kind of go into a little bit more depth with you on how I plan to actually run it, okay? So if we look at the charts here, I hate to say it, but like, we're not going to be able to wait for ideal setups. Like let's say you actually want to like get a paycheck on a weekly basis from your options selling, and you're not going to be able to wait for setup. It's just not going to be a thing for you, right? Like, yes, sometimes it'll time out, be like, oh, perfect. Like SPY's crashing, I do my cash secured puts, right? Or it's at the top and I could do my covered calls. For the most part, we're not going to have that luxury. We're not necessarily going to be able to wait. And as we've seen with both SPY, right, if we just look over all time, right, of SPY, it has always hit all-time highs. Obviously, past performance not indicative of future results. Nobody knows what the market's going to do. But one thing I do know is if SPY never recovers, we got bigger problems, boys. All right, we got bigger problems. Okay, but with that said, we can see SPY has always kind of ran up. Now, there has been periods where it took a while to recover, right? Like, look from here when it was at trading around like 480ish, right? Had a big tumble, and it took almost over a year to ever recover back from that. That happens. That is a reality, but it did recover. It eventually did recover. We can't say the same for, lots of stocks out there. Look, I have no problem admitting, maybe somebody in the comments will admit too, right? That I have no problem. I got stuck holding crap, right? That I will never be able to run covered calls on again. It's just the reality. And guess what? My new, that's why I go very safe with this stuff nowadays. I'm very boring. I don't care. Like, I'm not getting caught up in the hype and the FOMO. If it's being hyped up on X, then I'm not investing in it, most likely, because I've seen what that's done to me, and I'm just not that kind of investor anymore. I try to really be patient with everything I do. Okay, so let's go over to Robinhood. I'm here on SPY. Here's what I plan to do. Like, let's say today, it's a random Wednesday today, by the way, and let's say today's the day I want to do it. I'm not going to be over optimized in my retirement time. Like, I'm just not, right? I'm not going to necessarily be like, oh, I need to do this every Monday. I need to do this on Wednesday. I'm going to do it when I want to do it. Like, I'm literally, that's just the reality of the situation, right? I'm probably gonna, if God blesses me, I'm gonna have grandkids. I'm gonna be doing things, right? This is not going to be something that I am giving a ton of effort into. Not that I even right now give a ton of effort into it. I do, for the most part, do a ton of effort into this. But with that said, right, like, I don't know what life's gonna look like for me. But I can tell you one thing, I'll probably want to be doing things, hobbies, traveling a lot more, doing life, right? So with that said, I might not be able to do an ideal situation. I might not be able to, close this out early or stare it. I'm going to let most likely a lot of things go to expiration at that time. I'm just going to, because I'm going to be focused on weeklies only. And I'm not going to most likely. And guess what? I'll still be doing these YouTube videos. Maybe. Who knows, right? Make sure you're subscribed. Let's go. We're going 30 years out, boys. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me say. But with that said, I'm going to go out weekly. I'm going to be primarily doing weeklies 7 days out. That's what I'll be doing. And I don't care if it's a random Wednesday. I don't care if it's a random Friday. I don't literally care. It will not matter to me as long as I am still bullish on America, right? And I'm like, hey, SPY, and I still have the firm belief of SPY or QQQ, whichever one I want to do at that time. Maybe I'll diversify and do both, right? As long as I'm bullish there and I believe SPY will always hit all-time highs, I will do this strategy. So first thing I do is I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to sell a put, right? Okay, cool. So then I come here to the options chain and I'm still going to be following this. This is why I love selling options, guys, because it's been around forever. It's going to be around forever, right? Like, it's hard to say the same about like everything else, that what life is going to look like 20 years from now. But like, for the most part, I can't imagine like investing in options isn't around, right? But it's hard to say that about jobs. And, I work in the AI industry, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying. It excites me because I'm involved in it on a literally a daily basis as my full-time job, right? But with that said, I never see investing kind of going away. And I don't consider myself a trader by any stretch of the imagination, right? I consider myself an investor, a smart investor, right? A premium chaser. Let's go, right? But with that said, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to follow my same criteria that I followed today. Same foundation I've built, 30 years ago. I'm going to follow. I'm going to come in here and I'm not going to be looking necessarily at ROI and collateral anymore. I know. I always say it. My North Star, ROI and collateral. What is my ROI and collateral? I'm not looking at that anymore. And this is where we had an interesting kind of conversation in the mastermind that was happening last night. I didn't get to chime into it, but there's so much good conversations happening about it. And I definitely recommend join our free Facebook group. All my calculators and stuff like this are free in there for you guys to download. The link to that Facebook group will be in the description. But join, immerse yourself with people doing this, because it's not necessarily about ROI and collateral anymore. It's about risk management. Now, it's always been around risk management, but more so when it's like, hey, you're doing this with millions of dollars in your account. Listen, so I'm never going to be, or at least I used to be a little degenerate, but like the only thing I would do that kind of volume on is something that has always recovered and hit all-time highs. Again, we don't know if it'll happen. SPY will always recover and hit all-time highs. But if I was going to do something with millions of dollars, I'm betting it on that. I'm not going to bet it on random individual side. It's just not going to happen. Maybe I'll have like 5% of my portfolio where I'm like, hey, here are my fun coupons, right? And I'll just play around and get my crazy ROI on here. But most likely that's not going to happen with me. But I'm going to look in here. Right, I'm going to look here and I'm like, okay, what are my deltas that I can go for? Right, most likely I'm still going to be sticking between a point around 20 to 30. If I want to be really conservative and I was doing this with like I'm talking $5 million plus dollars, I might go lower. If I'm only premium chasers, I'm just going to go. I would literally go down to like a 0.10. I would go down to like a 0.10, 0.12, 0.15. Where I can, if I needed to wrap up millions of dollars and I wanted to write myself a nice juicy paycheck for it, I would do that. Now, my ROI on collateral would be not really good. Like, let's take a look at this one. Like, it would be this is a 0.12 delta, collecting $75 on locking up $63,000. I know some of you are rolling your head like, Pete, what are you talking about? Listen, this is just this is just the way I think about it, guys. Like, this is how this is just how I think about it. I know it might not be right or wrong, but guess what? It's my life, right? So $75 I'm collecting on that. And obviously these returns are going to look different for you when you are looking at this on your screen. Now, obviously, right, let me zoom in here. That is only a 0.12% return. That's literally nothing in a week, right? Now our expiration is set here to 7 days. And let's see how many contracts can we actually get away with here. Let's say we did like 10 contracts. What are we collecting here? Right, that's a $500,000. That's nothing for us at that age. Let's do 50 contracts. Let's say we're doing it. Let's go 3 million. Fine, we'll do 3 million. How many contracts? I say 50 bucks. Right, if I had that much money, that's what I would do. I would. This is what I would do, and I'd collect $3,700 a week. Obviously, we have to deal with all the tax situations and stuff, but that's fine. That's fine by me. Like, literally, I'm completely fine with this. I know that might sound insane to some of you, but if I can do that, right, I am completely fine. Now, obviously, if we're able to do this 4 times a month, right, 3,750 times 4, what is that? I don't know, guys. I'm not good at math. Look, like 3,750. 50, and obviously these premiums are going to change, guys. This is just a hypothetical example, not financial advice. Results will vary. But that's $15,000 a month in this example. If we were able to collect, if we were able to actually do cash secured puts 4 times a month. Now, the more risky you get, right? And let me actually go full circle here, because if you're a beginner and you're like, what is this guy talking about? Here are the risks of this, because there are risks with everything in life. Number 1, let's say the 7 days rolls around and at close, SPY is trading sideways. Maybe it hits 650, right? Whatever. It's above 633. My contract expires worthless. My $3.1 million is returned back to me, and then I can run the play again on a different opportunity for the following week. Write myself another nice paycheck if I want it. Second thing that can happen, this is the biggest risk of this strategy that you need to be made aware of, is, let's say, SPY is trading below $633. Let's say it's trading at 630. Let's say there was a massive correction, something crazy happened. It's trading at 600. You are on the hook to buy it at $633. Okay? Now, the reality of the situation is this, guys, right? With a big bankroll like that, you're not going to dump it all in one shot, right? Unless you're maybe, if bankroll is relative, right? To somebody, $3 million is absolutely nothing. Like, and that's a reality, right? Like, people that are worth, hundreds of millions of dollars, $3 million risking a week, it literally is, it's nothing, right? It's nothing to them, right? But for normal people, right, it is a lot. So, what is a realistic situation here, at least that I would do? I would be still focusing in on around the 0.20, 0.30 deltas, because I'm not going to be scared of assignment. Your chance of assignment here is just about that 10%. Only at about a 10% chance in 7 days that SPY will be trading at 633 or below. Okay, so very unlikely that's going to happen, but roughly a 90% chance that it expires worthless. Okay, but there's still a chance. You need to understand those risks. So, but for me, again, I wouldn't be dumping in 3 million into one. I would be looking at something, slightly more aggressive. Let's say these 640s, 0.26, right? I collect $172 of premium. Obviously, results vary. Your premiums will look different, right? I'm collecting $172 right here, if I can type this right. And again, these calculators are free in our Facebook group. Join us. A link will be in the description. I'm risking a little bit more capital here. Instead of 63.3, I'm risking 64,000, right? Now, just to recap, what do I mean when I say I'm risking 64,000? It's 640 times 100. Every options contract is equal to 100 shares. Okay, I know most of you know that. Okay, so here we're risking 3.2, but look how much more we're getting. Why? Because there's a higher chance of assignment. Now, if and when assignment does happen, and it does, I actually speak to a lot of investors, a lot of higher net worth individuals that do this. Like, this is what they do in their retirement, and it's not something that I really do yet because I guess I have time on my side. I'd rather collect a bit more, and I'm more focused on ROI on collateral, not necessarily, low delta stuff. But, I've seen people and talked to people that do the like 0.10, 0.10, 0.15. That's all they're doing. 0.10, 0.15 deltas. And that's their play. And they do that on a weekly basis. And if they collect their, 0.5%, 1%, whatever they're going for, they're fine with that. They're absolutely fine with that because they're just, again, they're focused on income generation. They're not necessarily focused on, hey, I need to like beat the market, right? They're focused on not having to touch their actual capital, so to speak, right? But if assignment does happen, what we can then do is run covered calls the following week. So I have a covered call calculator here. And let's just say, let's just flip the script here. We're going to click sell call. And we'll go out 7 days, and let's just assume you own 100 shares of SPY at current market value of 646. Well, what we can actually do here is run a covered call. So the following week, we can essentially name our price on what we'd be willing to sell them for. So let's open the 650s, 35 delta, little too aggressive there, right? Let's go 655s, not aggressive enough. Let's say 653s, okay, 0.22. Okay, let's go find a 0.26er. Okay, perfect. So 652, $134 of premium. Results vary. Right? So now we'll go to a covered call calculator. Again, with this one is free as well in the Facebook group. The link is in the description, right? So we are collecting here. What did we say? $134. Obviously, market's open. That's constantly changing. $134. Right? Our strike of the option that we said we'd willing to sell our 100 share of is $652, right? $652, right? 652. Our purchase strike price we said is around current market value of SPY at the time we're recording this. So we're going to say 646, right? So again, our premium return is not that great, right? It's not because, right, again, we're doing this a weekly on SPY, right? You're going to have to be very aggressive if you want to be getting a much higher return. With SPY being on an absolute tear right now, for me, I wouldn't take that risk. I would still be sticking to kind of like what I'm doing right now. So my premium is just simply my premium divided by 64,600. I treat 100 shares just like money. It is money. It's an asset. $64,600 is how much I paid for those shares, and that's what my premium is divided by that. Gets me my premium return. If I end up selling my shares, I'll collect an additional $600 in profit. Right, add in my shares. Couple risks with the covered call side. You cap your upside here. Right, you're capping your upside at 652. Right, because in 7 days, if it's trading above 652, guess what? You're selling at 652. Let's say it's at 700 in 7 days. You're selling your shares at 652. Now, can SPY move as quickly as we're speaking about? It can. Like, these things can happen. But what I think is in a 7-day period, usually it doesn't. It usually doesn't move as kind of like crazy like that. Okay. So again, for me, that's the biggest risk on the covered call side. If in 7 days from now it's trading below that, right? Like let's say 650 or 645, 646, where it's currently at, your shares, your contract expires worthless. Your shares get returned back to you, and then you can run the play again the following week to name your price on what you're willing to sell your shares. Now, this all hinders on a couple other things, guys, is making sure that you're not a leaky bucket. Because the covered call premiums and cash secured put premiums are nice. But you know what's even nicer? Collecting dividends while you wait to sell your shares. Collecting cash secured put interest on your collateral while you wait to buy your shares. And of course, that appreciation sale. If you want to learn more about what the Ark Options Strategy is and how it plugs the holes that is the leaky wheel strategy bucket, click the first link in the description of today's video. You're going to learn more about what the Ark Options Strategy is. And if you like what you hear, you'll be able to book a completely free call with us to learn about our Option Seller School Mastermind. This is a mastermind group of absolutely incredible individuals I can't speak highly enough. We do this day in and day out, speak about our trade ideas, what's working, what's not working, everything you need to really set yourself up for success with option selling. So if you want to learn more about that, click the first link in the description of today's video, and you'll even get my live premium tracker here just for taking a call and giving us a little bit of your time to see if you're a good fit. If you're not toxic and you're a financially stable individual, we invite you to book that call with us. Again, the first link in the description of today's video, guys. Remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.